Private practice is alive and kicking still.
I shadowed in an ER and I thought, this physician is making a huge difference for her community. She's making an impact on lives. All
The newborn is like Flipper. And then, I always tell the parents the 2-year-old boy is like a golden retriever. He likes to play, chase after the ball, eat, and to be hugged and loved. But they're not very smart. If he falls head first into the pool, he's not getting out.
How is that not the audience that you want as a physician? Truthful people who want to do the best they can. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is a joyful profession.
I think we got the best job in the world. We're rock stars of medicine.
It was a community. It was the ability to join a community of people that are doing the same thing across the country.
I oftentimes have to pull out my list of acronyms and go, wait a minute, what's that one again? And sort out in my brain what their specific role is.
Everybody thought I was some kind of genius, but somebody ahead of me, back to the mentoring, told me the answer.
My mom does my billing. So it's family business. Working for yourself is the way to go.
Word on the street, especially on SOPM, is that practices have no value once the physician is gone. So why would you buy a practice?
Oh, great question.
I think that's a big misnomer personally, because I already did it twice and it is a good idea.
And I paid him as a consultant, I think for the first 6 months because I was terrified and I thought, oh my gosh, what if I can't pay my bills? Because there's physicians in town that skip out on paying their staff and paying their rent. My husband had this dream to motor home to parks in the Southwest US, and you just can't do that in a week for sure. And we started looking into options for me to be gone a month. And it was terrifying because, like I said, my practice are my friends and my family. There is nothing that I would change about the scenario at all. It was the most seamless transition, I think, in history, maybe. It's a bold statement, but it was so easy. You got to be flexible and figure out what people need at any given time because it changes. I am inundated with adolescents and teenagers that are addicted to their phones who are not physically isolated, but very socially isolated, and trying to provide care is daunting. If they're acutely suicidal and trying to kill themselves, I send them to the ER and they'll put them on a hold and put them in a room to keep them safe. We have minimal people prescribing to children, or not children, but adolescents mostly. We have a few very good therapists, but they're overbooked and underpaid.
The overweight and obese stage 2 and 3 seems to be taking a big part of the clinical time. It's never just a well-child exam. There's always anxiety or depression. There's only 1,100 pediatric endocrinologists across the country, and they're all overwhelmed as it is. And it's all the same problem. It's a problem that Medicaid does not pay enough money for the children to be seen, and 50% of the children are on Medicaid. It's hard when I see all these obese children or these kids with type 2 diabetes, and the teenage girls are struggling tremendously. And how do we take care of them?
It's a struggle. If I didn't do it,
nobody would.
It would be catastrophic, guys. It would be catastrophic for my community.
If you're a solo provider, there's not 3 other people seeing the easy stuff fast to compensate for the more complex stuff. It's a big hit. And the only solution is better payment. We need to pay the pediatricians and the family practitioners what we really deserve for doing the work that we're doing.
You got to get a product that you could use right off the shelf that you can train on in 2 minutes and move on. If I have to demo a product and get training on it for 2 days, I don't want it.
You have to understand the technology. This is not smart
technology. It's a tool.
This is not smart technology. This is not wisdom.
What's interesting, in a world that's dominated by large systems, how can a private practice stay competitive and relevant?
I think everybody's been fishing for quality, right? That's the new cool thing. And I think that patients and families are well aware of what that is. I get to do whatever I want. And whatever my patients need, is what we're going to try to do. And that's how we stay relevant. The relationships that I have with my patients and their families is a blessing and a beautiful thing. And no hospital system can replicate that. We would do almost like a clothing swap. So parents would bring their clothes from their kids that they've grown out of, and they can just take whatever they want, give whatever they want. So it's easy.
It's not all about spreadsheets and dollar signs.
No.
It's about giving back a little bit, and you'll get more later for sure.
I love SOPM, but that was too much. When they write an article from an academic standpoint or a policy from an academic institution standpoint, and they want to roll it out and say, this is what everybody should be doing, me, solo practice over here in Oregon, needs to be able to say, hey, that I can't implement that.
The AAP is an old arthritic man that moves very slowly. The community is very strong because if you live with type 1, if you have a child with type 1, if you had a mother with type 1, it changes your life. The data is there because it can prevent 90% of cases of DKA, which is a disaster for a child. But be in the conversation early, shape the policy. Don't play catch up like we would do with before.
I see some trimming of the fat with hospital administration and in administration in general. I think we're going to see more private practice. I just can't fathom that people aren't going to see their own value and go out on their and venture out on their own, because they're not going to want to deal with all of these people who've never practiced medicine telling them how to do it.
Most children are healthy, and they don't want to be a cog in the wheel, that huge system made for the really sick. They want to be in a very personal environment where relationships are built. And that's the magic of pediatrics.
Yeah.
You can buy a practice. You can join a practice. There's so many different ways to be successful in private practice. Asking questions of people who've gone before you, because it's rare that you're doing something no one's done before, right? You just have to know the right person to ask.